Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center and I'm delighted to be joined with Adebukola with her film, We Are Not Alone. Let's take a look at the clip.
And these are the record buttons for each track. That's the basics.
The signal is too long to do in one breath, but I got close though, and I felt the connection. I just need something to keep the pattern going so that I can...
There you go. You picked it up right away.
Thank you. Welcome to the New Filmmakers family. Thank you for being here and thank you for bringing your film to us.
Thank you guys so much. It's been an amazing week. I appreciate the invitation and I've loved everything that's happened.
Oh, honestly, the vibrations on the stage last night with you and all your filmmakers, your program was just, it was so special. Like everyone was just hugging each other and I was like, oh my goodness, you all really become amazing friends, which is fantastic. So thank you for being part of this great group as well.
Yeah, a stellar programming for programming just badass filmmakers.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Listen, I'm so glad that you brought your film to us. Your film, you know, at first is your first live action film, which is like amazing because I thought you'd done about 30. And then seeing that on the big screen was so special, especially with all the effects and the experimental film elements that you gave to us. But before we get into that, for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, no problem. My film is about a spacecraft that is approaching the Earth, and a reclusive Nigerian immigrant believes that if she can sort of communicate with the ship, it'll solve all her problems. And so the whole film is like a parable for the false promise of the American dream.
It's so clever, honestly, it really is, and I love some of the conversations you gave us last night about, you know, your style and your experience and what you enjoy, and types of film you enjoy making. But for you personally, where did this kind of inspiration of a storyline connect with you, where you're like, I've got to turn this into a film?
Yeah, so the film is a collaboration between my husband and I, who is a writer, Ezra Clayton Daniels. He wrote a short comic of the same title, and it's sort of the same premise, but the story followed a young kid who was sort of trying to prepare himself again for this ship. And I really loved the story, this idea of like waiting for like this panacea that's just like, there's never one thing that's ever gonna like fix anything. Yeah. But I wanted to sort of shift their perspective to sort of fit my view a little better. And so we started talking about the story early before the pandemic, about how to like change the storyline and change the characters a bit. And our first draft of the script was quite depressing, I have to say. And then the pandemic happened and we were still working on the story. And after I feel like living through a slow apocalypse, I just didn't want the story to have such a bleak ending. So even though we're still focusing on this idea of a false promise, we wanted to try and figure out a way to leave the audience with like a hopeful nugget.
Yeah, no, you did, and it's nice because I think you really took a take on you know, the American dream, so to speak, and kind of the reality of that as well. I think it sort of puts sometimes a lot of expectation on an individual to, you know, reach a certain height, or even just the heights they put on themselves, which I think is also hard as well. I love how you captured that. And then through the style of what you said you enjoy, which is experimental film, tell us a bit more about how you wanted the kind of the style of it. You know, you had some really, really amazing effects in there, and you know, some of it looked like extra spectacular on a big screen as well.
Yeah, so I come from an experimental film background. So I do a lot of like bleaching film, scratching film, playing with Sharpie markers, or reshooting film in like an optical printer, lots of like non-narrative stuff. And so I really wanted to try my hand at live action direction. And so when we were thinking about this story, I knew for sure that I wanted to bring in my experimental film background to sort of create like a hieroglyphic effect that the ship is transmitting.
Yeah.
And so I had done scratched film animation before, but I wanted to be more precise with the scratches. So I started playing around with the idea of laser etching onto the film. And so I had to do a lot of just tests there where I got this hobby laser etcher from Amazon where people usually use it to like make keychains or I don't know, a picture portrait of yourself. And so once I had the laser etcher, I would do all these heat tests to see, because the 16 millimeter frame is so small. So like how big of a line could I make? How big of a scratch? How detailed of an image can I make? And we still sort of can see it to understand it as a registration for an animation. And so once I had that, then I was able to sort of come up with a marking language for the animation.
That's amazing. By the way, thank you. That was like a little mini workshop of how to, of all the just the ins and outs and the great elements that you brought to the film as well. How was it for you then? Obviously, you've got a background in experimental films. So how was it for you in making your first live action? What was the experience like for you working with actors? What have you learned from this whole experience? What was that like for you?
It was a learning experience, but it was one that I loved. I mean, I had such an amazing producer, Mariel Neto, who really helped walk me through the process. Animation and live action is so different, and especially small budget filmmaking.
Yes.
Like, so when I make an animation, if I make an arm movement per se, I can watch that movement 20 times, think about like, oh, I need more weight here, I need less weight here. On a set, when a performer is performing, you can see that maybe it's not quite right, but I can't, because we also shot on film.
Yes, that's what you did, that's right. Which film did you shoot? Because I saw
We
that.
shot on 2 film stocks. We shot on Ektachrome for the pre-ship, and then something happens, and we switched film stocks to, I believe, like a 500T to really change the color language of the piece.
Yeah, it really felt it as well, yeah.
But that was really, I'll go back to the actor thing, but really fun story about the Ektachrome. I knew I wanted to shoot on Ektachrome. I told Mariel, I was like, I'd really love to shoot on Ektachrome, but I don't know if our budget can handle it. And she was like, don't worry, let me see what I can do. She managed to find all the leftover Ektachrome from the Euphoria shoot. So we got all this Ektachrome at a discount from, the leftover Euphoria
Oh
shoot.
my goodness. Okay, thanks Euphoria. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Zendaya.
Yeah, thank you Zendaya. We appreciate you. Oh my God, that's amazing. And what was it? I mean, you had 2 fantastic actors that kind of led the way in this story. Like, how was it? How was your process working with them as a director? What was that kind of experience like?
They were so generous and nice to me. Like I was saying, I couldn't review the clips like 20 times like I do with animation, and you really have to make snap decisions quickly because we have a really fast-paced shooting schedule. And so everybody was really kind and patient with me getting my sea legs in sort of like figuring out the right language to use, because you can't really tell actors like, be sad.
Yeah.
You're doing this weird mind manipulation where you're like, think about this ice cream cone and like how that like flavor, brought you joy. Bring that thought into a scene. And so there was just a lot of live maneuvering I had to do. And if it wasn't for the generous team I had around me, it was just a really great experience.
Well, and also, you and your husband, you're like both the power couple, amazing, working together in this amazing film. I've met him, he's absolutely lovely. So it's, I hope that you guys are going to obviously continue to make more film. Is that what is next for you both?
Yes, so we do have an expanded story for We're Not Alone, if anybody's interested in giving us money for a feature.
Yes, lots of money, please, lots of money.
But we're also currently working on a really cool cosmic horror idea about a paracyclical cycle between people. And so we're really toying around with the idea. We're really excited about it. I think it'll look really cool.
Oh, amazing. I can't, listen, wherever world you're going to take us into next, I'm very excited for it. But I just want to before we quickly reflect, I just want to say, like, what was that experience like seeing your live action film on a big screen, like your first one? How was that for you? We loved seeing it there yesterday. What was that experience like?
It's always terrifying and amazing
Yeah.
because like you're watching it in a room full of people, and every moment you're wondering like, do they love it? Do they get the joke? Did they get this? Is this too much? But then it's really great to also feel the energy that you can feel in the audience.
Yeah.
And so it's a dual relationship of like fear and enjoyment every time you present something on the big screen.
Oh my God, that is it. Fear and enjoyment at the same time. It's a very strange mix, isn't it? You know, also as well, just because there is a really great psychology behind the film, and I love watching experimental film. I think you can learn so much from watching it. And different people have different. It's like an artist. They just give you something different, don't they, in these experiences? But for you personally, like taking the storyline and kind of your style and your vision, what did you want your audience to sort of pick up from your film, if anything? Like, is there anything that you kind of wanted your audience to sort of allude to or question?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, I wanted people to leave with a little bit of hope, even in a world that seems hard to understand, especially given our times.
Yes.
And like the peace we can find in like real human connection, because at the heart, the story is about two women finding an amazing connection between each other. And I think like always remembering these relationships we can form with people can really give us like a beacon of light and hope within the chaos around us. Because in the sort of climax of the film, there's all this stuff happening, but we have this really clear line between the women that really, I think, holds the audience steady and helps the audience also not feel overwhelmed by all the experimental stuff going on, because you have this core relationship that you're holding on to.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, so much. And just finally, having made your first film, for any filmmakers out there, do you have any advice that you give, that you go by as an artist, as a creative, that you could share with our audience?
I would say to keep making stuff and to always make stuff. Even if you're not sure it's going to be good. I have a lot of really bad pieces too. And so it's always about just like to keep trying. I think even if like something you've made hasn't done well or didn't turn out well, to not take that as the final roadblock, to take whatever lessons you can from failure. I think I learn a lot from failure and from mistakes I've made, and to take those failures into the next piece.
Oh my goodness, that's so inspiring. Oh my, we're gonna have to go off on our day now and do it, everybody, okay? Listen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for bringing your film and all of your cast and crew. Thank you so much, and welcome to the New Filmmakers LA family.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, we are not alone.